How good a knight are you, Sir Duncan the Tall?
You don't look to be a knight.
What, all knights look the same, do they?
No, but they don't look like you either.
Who will stand and fight with me?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. HBO dropped a brand new Night of the Seven Kingdoms Episode 2 trailer video. There's a bunch of Easter eggs and references here. There's some footage from a couple other episodes too, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the episodes just like I do for House of the Dragon. We're getting Season 3 of that later this year, and for the original Game of Thrones series. Most of the new footage focuses on Dunk meeting Baelor Breakspear. Baelor Targaryen, he's the heir presumptive and the current hand of the king. He's the oldest son of Daeron II and probably one of the most powerful people in Westeros. Daeron II had 4 sons and at least 7 male grandchildren, so the bench of potential heirs is very deep during this period when Season 1 takes place. Baelor is called Baelor Breakspear because of a big Blackfyre rebellion Easter egg. So he defeated Daemon Blackfyre I, the person who started the actual Blackfyre rebellion, when he was 17 years old, when Baelor was 17 years old, breaking his lance during a jousting match at his aunt Daenerys Targaryen's wedding. This Daenerys was the 4th legitimate daughter of Aegon IV. But remember, the Targaryens reused names all the time in their family. There are many, many Daeneryses in their history, many, many Aegons in their history, like Jon Snow's birth name was actually Aegon. The whole reason for this phenomenon in universe, like the logic, is that they just use the names of the most popular Targaryens, like, oh, he was a really, really powerful Targaryen, so we'll name you after him. The whole idea with Baelor is that he was a person who loved competing in tournaments. He was very, very good. He was like the LeBron James of jousting, even though he was a prince. And at least at this point in history, it was normal for Targaryen princes, especially younger ones, to compete in tournaments if they wanted. The whole connection back to Dunk, because we're talking about a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms here, and this is Dunk's perspective as he sees all this, is that Sir Arlen of Pennytree, his knight that he squired for, fought against Baelor in tournaments before, earlier in the timeline, very honorably, and even though Baelor is so much better than Sir Arlen, he just completely walked right over him. Sir Arlen fought valiantly, and Baelor respected him greatly for that. If you remember A Knight's Tale, everybody's been making Knight's Tale comps to the Heath Ledger movie. During that movie, you see him fight against the Black Prince, and even though he is the prince and people find that out, he doesn't try to lose to him on purpose. He fights valiantly, gives him a very good match, which the prince respects him for. It was kind of the same situation with Baelor and Sir Arlen. Like, Sir Arlen didn't purposely try to lose to him because he was a prince.
It's not in me to withdraw. Nor me.
So because Baelor respected Sir Arlen greatly because of their fights in tournaments and remembers him, Dunk sorely needs that because all the other lords that he met so far as of episode 1 either can't remember Sir Arlen or they do not care to remember him and don't want to help Dunk make it into the tournament. So along comes Baelor Breakspear, one of the most powerful people in the realm and most respected people in the realm, finally steps in to acknowledge Duncan's claim of knighthood and Sir Arlen, essentially vouching for him in full view of Lord Ashford, who's holding the tournament, allowing Dunk to actually compete. So Dunk basically gets what he wants. He's allowed to compete in the tournament now. I believe in context, the reason why there's an actual tournament at all at Ashford was that Lord Ashford was holding one for his daughter's name day, but I don't think that George R. R. Martin named her in the books. The show might change that. During this period in Westeros, during relative peacetime between big wars, there were a lot of little tourneys like this all the time, all over the realm. You just have to picture Lord Ashford here sending out evites around the realm to all the other great lords. Come to the tourney, celebrate my daughter's birthday. Closest thing that Westeros had to a version of a website where you could actually post information like this and sign up for tourneys was basically sending ravens out. Speaking of which, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I am a YouTuber. I spend all my time making videos. I have no idea how to make an actual website, but I needed to have one outside of my YouTube channel to make it easier for people in other businesses to actually get in contact with me. Squarespace helped handle everything from finding a professional website designer, picking out templates for actually building my site, and after I created it, helping me manage it day to day and make sure that it stays up to date. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. This is why usually when I tell people to contact me, I point them to my Squarespace website. Squarespace makes all that painless. And for those of you that do have things that you want to sell online, Squarespace helps you showcase your products and customize your product listings with images, videos, reviews, related products, and add-ons that help you make more sales. Their Squarespace commerce platform makes managing everything from inventory to sales and customers simple. Everybody head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/emergencyawesome to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/emergencyawesome. I'll put the link up here on screen and down in the description below, so be sure to check it out and have fun building your websites this year. But the actual scene here in the trailer of Baelor talking to Dunk over the fire, asking him how good of a knight he is, we've seen that in a lot of different trailers. How good of a knight are you, Sir Dunk? Is actually meant to be from after he gets into a fight with Aegon Targaryen and winds up being hauled in front of the council and given the option of either trial by combat or getting his hand cut off. And I believe this particular scene, when he's asking how good of a knight are you, is actually meant to be from like episode 3, episode 4. Baelor here is trying to tell Dunk that if he is a good enough knight, trial by combat is the only way he'll be able to come out of this whole thing intact. Literally, because if he doesn't, he'll either die or he'll get his hand cut off.
I have no choice. Trial by combat must be held at dawn.
So the idea is that Dunk has to either beat Aegon in trial by combat, and he's tiny. Aegon is tiny. There's no way that he could actually defeat Dunk, so he actually has a pretty good chance, unless Aegon chooses another champion, which you can do per trial by combat. Or in the case of this particular event in history in the series, there's a lot of scenes that you see after this of them fighting. That's from the Trial of 7, which is going to be episode 5. The whole idea being that Dunk is like, oh, I have a good chance of actually making it out of this, so I guess I will take trial by combat. But then Aegon declares that it will be trial by 7 because he doesn't think that Dunk can actually find other people to fill out his team for the Trial of 7. Trial of 7 was a specialized version of the trial by combat that was brought over by the Andals after their invasion. The Andals believed that if 7 champions fought on each side, the gods thus honored would be more likely to see justice done. But really, people just love seeing 7 people against 7 people in a trial by combat, so it's basically trial by combat 7 versus 7. But the reason why you're seeing so much jousting happening during that, before they're all on the ground in the mud, start slinging around and they're like swinging swords at each other and maces, is all because the Trial of 7 begins with a joust, and then after that you proceed to swords on foot. But as you can see, some of them are wielding morning stars and other types of hand combat weapons. Most of these scenes where you see Dunk swinging his sword against someone is against Aegon in his armor who has a morning star. Looks like there's a couple more flashback scenes to Sir Arlen showing him training with Duncan on the side of the road here. There are a couple more scenes of Duncan Egg fighting with Lionel Baratheon and his side of the rope pull event that's happening here. This is meant to be a scene of Lionel Baratheon in the middle of what looks like the Trial of 7 pulling his sword. There are a couple important things that he does in the next few episodes. Don't want to talk too far ahead of the story though, but this is meant to be his armor, like he is on the battlefield here when this is happening. He is also a very, very good, very well-trained fighter. We get this scene of Dunk challenging the crowd here, asking for others to fight on his team of 7, basically telling the people of Westeros that they're all terrible if they won't help him out. Who is brave enough and good enough to fight with me? Then there are a bunch of other previews that they've also released separately, so like you see him with Sir Arlen riding on the side of the road, it seems like they're actually talking to each other. There were a lot of flashbacks with more comedic twists to it with that in episode 1. There are a couple more scenes of him meeting Tanzel Tutal and talking with her. She kind of becomes a love interest to him during the series. There are a couple more scenes where the Targaryen family shows up in front of the tournament and sits on the podium here in front of everyone, in front of the crowd. They basically roll into town during episode 2, like they don't arrive at the tournament till a little bit later. Then I've already done a much longer video about the other trailer footage from what seems like episode 2, which is more Blackfyre Rebellion flashbacks to a young version of Dunk before Sir Arlen of Pennytree took him on as his squire and took him away from King's Landing. There have always been a lot of questions about why they haven't done the Blackfyre Rebellion as an actual TV show already. I think mostly because House of the Dragon is already doing a Targaryen civil war right now, so they don't want to redo another Targaryen civil war so soon after that at big budget level, but they do want to tell some of those stories and explain how it's important for what's happening during this period in the timeline, so we're getting some Blackfyre Rebellion flashbacks. It's kind of the way the original Game of Thrones series did some Robert's Rebellion era flashbacks, but we haven't actually gotten a Robert's Rebellion TV show already. Speaking of tournament arcs in Game of Thrones, one of the most famous tournaments in Westerosi history is the tournament at Harrenhal during Robert's Rebellion era with Rhaegar Targaryen and all those characters when they were younger. Supposedly, there's actually going to be a stage play version of that in London. We will see if that turns into a bigger thing. Stranger Things literally just did their version of that with the Stranger Things First Shadow stage play all about Vecna's backstory. Based on some of the other footage of Tanzelle here, we'll also get more plays from her. All of her plays, her stories, are meant to be based on famous figures in Westerosi history that either existed or were part of famous tales of the past, like Age of Heroes stories. But the cool thing that George R. R. Martin did during the original book, and that the show is just adapting, basically the show is just doing a version of what George R. R. Martin did, is using her plays as metaphors for what's happening to Sir Duncan. Always love to see the play inside the play. They even did this during the original Game of Thrones series with all the plays that Arya watched.
Queen loves her son, and he was taken from her before she could say goodbye. She wouldn't just cry. She would want to kill the person who did this to her.
One of the other biggest new things here during this footage is a lot more Maekar Targaryen too. Maekar the First, he's the younger brother of Baelor, even though he's made to look older because he's so grumpy, and because he has the silver Valyrian hair, so he just appears to be older. We will talk a lot about him during my full episode 2 video. He's grumpy for a very specific reason that we can't really talk about till after you've seen the episode. Generally, the realm views both Maekar and his brother Baelor as heroic, very good figures, like they're very well regarded because they both fought during the Blackfyre Rebellion for the side of the crown. You have to remember the two sides in the Blackfyre Rebellion were Daemon Blackfyre and the Blackfyres and Daeron II, who they viewed as a pretender trying to steal the throne, even though he was a legitimate heir. So it'd be like if your father got into a war, you would naturally fight for his side. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if there's any Easter eggs or references that you spotted in the footage that I didn't talk about in this video or my previous videos, just write it below in the comments. My full episode 2 Easter egg breakdown video will post Sunday night after they release it, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everybody click here for that video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my other Night of the Seven Kingdoms episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.